Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Lorraine Hoving.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe what is possible for your life. And I am your host, Lorraine Hoving, and today I have the great pleasure to introduce you to Lorraine Hoving. Lorraine is a speaker, author, a radio show host of Never Too Late Ever, and a loser of 130 plus pounds. When Lorraine turned 60, she realized her life was 2/3 over if God blessed her with an additional 30 more years. All the goals she had set out to do year after year had eluded her and lay there in a big heap of empty promises, and some of those promises were over 45 years old. Was this all, she asked herself? Would I ever change, or could I ever change? Well, you get to find out today. Hey, welcome, Lorraine. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Nada. Hey, I thought you said that I lived to be 90.
Oh no! If you did live to be 90, no.
if I realized that if I lived to be 90, and heck, I wasn't going to live that long because of my unhealthy patterns. So it was kind of a wake-up call to me when I turned 60.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that, Lorraine? Because what was going on? What was going on when you turned 60 that these patterns that were obviously interfering with the best life that you are living right now?
Well, I think what I realized was when I woke up on that I don't think I realized going into it the impact that turning 60 would feel like. I had no trouble turning 50. But when I turned 60, it was like when I woke up, I thought, oh my gosh. And I woke up in a pool of tears. I realized that, and I knew I wouldn't live to be 90 at that point because I was unhealthy. But it's just like all of a sudden you just go, oh my gosh, all this time has passed, because you realize as you get older, all those Mondays, all those New Year's resolutions, and suddenly there's less life ahead of you than that you've gone through. And it's like a sobering thought that all those years have gone by and suddenly you're left with just this many, because we know they're counted. Right. We know that they're numbered. And so I think it was that realization. And then all my life I had blamed others for what I thought, was the trauma I'd gone through, my bully brother, everything that I had gone through in my past, I was blaming that instead of taking full responsibility for myself. And it wasn't just 99%. You have to absolutely look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am 100% responsible for where I am today. And I think that was just kind of the awakening at 60.
Yeah. Wow. So do you think that part of or do you know what was the reason? Because losing 130 plus pounds, I mean, that's amazing. And on your website, you have before and after pictures on there, and it's a completely different person. So where do you think that and please let me know if I'm stepping over a boundary here. Do you know why you started putting on the weight?
Yeah, I do know that is when I was younger, my dad died suddenly and traumatically at the age when I was 11. And I adored my dad, absolutely adored him. And my mom, although she is a loving, kind mom, she's now in heaven, she wasn't affectionate. My dad was affectionate, loved to laugh just like I did. So we kind of like the way I look at it is we spoke each other's language. So when I'd wake up in the morning, I could hardly wait to see my daddy. And, I didn't even go to bed until I shared a bowl of ice cream with him in the evening. So when he died suddenly, in a horrific accident, you don't have any time to digest it. It's just like it happens. And when you're a child, just 11 years old, is still quite an impressionable age. I just was like set back because it felt almost, Nada, like I lost the day that my daddy died when I was younger. I felt like I lost my little girl, because I've been so fun-loving up to that time. And then from that point on, I had an older brother, and I perceive now, he's also in heaven, but I perceive that he possibly was jealous of my relationship with my daddy, because from that point on, he bullied me and verbally abused me, called me fatty 2x4, and probably, Nada, was maybe 10 or 15 pounds overweight at that time. But I started to hide, and I began kind of a secret obsession with food, because I knew if I ate in front of my brother, he would tease me and make fun of me. So I began to hide in my bedroom late at night, sneak food down there, sneak up the little bowls in the morning so he couldn't hear. So I always think you're as sick as your secrets. And so that was my little secret. But it only can be a secret for so long. It's not like when you abuse alcohol or drugs, you can keep that a secret a long time. But when you have an obsession with food, it eventually shows for all the world to see. And so I slowly began to gain weight, once I got married, once I had kids, and I reached a high point of 275 on a 5'1" frame, which is a lot of weight.
Yeah. Wow. So I would imagine you had physical pain that went along with that.
Not a lot of physical pain, more lower energy and that kind of thing, that you couldn't do a lot of things that other people could do. I didn't have a lot of pain, and it's almost like if you did, then maybe you would have done something about it, but I didn't. And even though my self-worth was not where it needed to be, I still loved myself because I kind of like myself. Yeah. I'm kind of a fun person, Nate.
I was just going to ask you about that. And Lorraine, every time I talk to you, I just want to reach through whatever, because we've only been in person together once, but I just want to reach through the technology and just give you a hug, because I think it is so beautiful to be able to say, I am such a fun person. I love that. And yes, you are. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, is because you had said that when your dad died at 11, that you were so fun loving that kind of went out the door. Like that fun loving just kind of got shut down. And I was going to say, you are so fun loving from the time that I've met you, which has just been 2 years, I think. Where did you get that fun loving? When did that wake back up? Because I have a feeling it just went to sleep. It never went away, that it was just tucked away.
And I don't think it ever went away completely, but I lost that little innocent girl that just felt like she could walk into a room and just light up a room, or that freedom that you feel just to be you. That was kind of hiding, but I still had fun. I remember going to college and having a lot of fun at college. Not a lot of studying, but a lot of fun. And so I think I was always there, but the little girl, I believe, I don't know if I've ever told you, but the time that I went down to California, I had lost about 120 pounds. And I went to a conference, and I had spotted a trampoline the night before. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to set my alarm really early in the morning, and I'm going to go jump on the trampoline, see if I can do it. Because when you're 275 pounds, it's hard to get a couple inches off the ground by jumping. So I set my alarm. I got there, and there were two of my friends there already. And they asked me what I was doing. I told them. And so they gave me some tips. And I got on, and I just couldn't get the jumping because I just hadn't done it. So they grabbed my hands, and we started jumping. And I remember as a little girl, screaming on the swing to go higher and higher. So I started doing this when they're jumping with me, and I'm going higher, higher, higher. And all of a sudden, I just fell to the mat of the trampoline just in convulsions, because it almost felt, Nada, like somewhere up there, I got my little girl back. I can't explain it. But suddenly, because I was jumping on this trampoline and I felt so free, it was like, oh, there's the little girl. And I just broke down. And so that's the time I felt like, oh my gosh, she is here in full force.
Oh, wow. Now, how long ago was that when that happened, Lorraine?
That was about, I would say, 2.5 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That is so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, because of the trauma of our life, that we lose the little girl or the little boy in some ways. We lose that freedom to just be yourself. And that's what I felt like before Dad. I just ran, and I was innocent and having fun and bringing kids home. And then suddenly, with my brother teasing me, I had to hide. And so I think some of us hide. And even though I was always happy, even when I was 275 pounds, I was still hiding, because your self-esteem is affected majorly when you're that overweight. So.
Yes. Wow. So, Lorraine, if I understand it correctly, you married your present husband now, and I want to call him Joe, and I don't think that's right.
No, it's not Joe. It is Tim.
Tim.
Yeah, it's 3 letters, so that's why maybe you thought of Joe, but it's Tim.
That doesn't seem right. I'm sorry. Well, don't let Tim know that I just married you off to a Joe. Not to be confused with Joe, the producer.
Yeah, Joe, the producer, is listening to this. No, I'm not married to Joe, the producer. I'm married to Tim, and we've been married for 44 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, because when somebody is overweight, and you met Tim, how much did you weigh at that time? And again, if this is too personal, please just let me know, and we got lots of places we can go to in a conversation.
Don't ever worry about being too personal with me. I am an open book, because my story is there to help other people. So, I was I know what I was. I was 15 pounds overweight or 20 pounds overweight, something like that, when I married Tim. And so I told him by the first Christmas together, I would have that weight off. Well, of course, I didn't have that weight off by the first Christmas, because suddenly I was cooking and making goodies for him, and I was just this happily married wife. So instead, I was 15 pounds heavier at Christmas, and then I had kids, and then just went heavier and heavier. So I realized, and this was just about a couple of years ago when I went down to that seminar, somebody was picking me up, and they were waiting for my husband, because he had come down with me. And I didn't realize this, but my husband has always accepted and loved me the way I am.
Yeah.
But there were people there in the car, when they saw my husband, they said, "Oh, he's so good looking." And it didn't sink in until I got in with my husband. And then I kind of mulled over that for 2 or 3 days, because I